I want to talk about the two legal issues, actually, possibly the legal battles. My basic idea is that we want to learn something, make some progress in the more civilization way of dealing with the difference. I'm less interested in Epstein file. I know it's a sensitive issues and including violation of minor girls. But I'm just saying that it's basically in the past tense. It's meaningful. I'm totally supported that for the transparency, for the documentation. But to a certain extent, we already know. I mean, Trump is not the most holding the highest moral standard, and he's not most self disciplined as any human beings, let alone the U.S. president. So it's not. It's kind of a less interesting to me because I already know uh, what kind of a person Trump is. But when it comes to Minnesota, it's more interesting, it's more significant because it's happening today and it's still ongoing. Um, so, one thing that I want to talk about the two cases, so I may have just split that into two videos. The first one is about evidence 11 days before the Alex Pretti was basically killed by the Border Control Patrol agent officers. And I realized that Trump made a big deal, and not Trump. Trump is not alone, right? I mean, I see from the thread that Megan Kelly says that we're not. She was feeling less sorry about Pretty's death because the video shows that he was like had some violence. Exchanges with the federal officers. And Trump obviously goes further. He was saying that Petty was an agitator, possibly an insurrectionist, uh, and it claimed that Petty's stock has going down significantly, right? So, so that it's very interesting. I really think that. I really want to have, that's the whole reason that we need to have a case, possibly a criminal case, because only through the legal battle, then we can take this political rhetoric out of this, and then we can just go to the court and let the court decide uh, whether there's evidence, what happened 11 days before, uh, you know, before the Paddy was killed. And then, so the only when separate politics from a legal battle, and then you have to take that seriously, right? Because the legal adversary of different parties it comes out to be meaningful for the country's future. And we can just politics rhetoric basically will go away, you know, as time goes on. But the legal judgment will stay, and most importantly, will make the country a better place. Hopefully through this legal judgment. That's why I'm totally supporting bring the federal officers to the court of to the court of law and then subject to a trial and possibly with a jury. And then we can have something on the history and we can have something on documented uh, will become an established case law for the later similar case. Okay. So here is the key issue is the admissibility, meaning that whether we should take that Patty's behavior 11 days earlier before he was dead. uh, take that into account. Right now, without the trial, without a legal battle, it's just it's yourself, it's you versus me, us versus them. We never come out with a civilized, more legal, civilized way of settle this case. When I was reading this, um, I asked the AI chatbot. I said, "Which one is closer? Which one is closer to the law?" And then Perplexity came back saying that the Trump statements way further away from the law. You know, also, on the other hand, I also heard some other people arguing. I was looking for that. I saw that and then try to, because everything in the thread is going so fast. And I try to, before I made a comment and then I came back, I could not find it. But basically, the lady was saying, obviously, I think she has a legal training background. She was saying that based on the U.S. law, what happened in 11 days earlier will not be admitted, will not accepted because the court of law will reject it. Um, then I asked Perplexity about which side is closer to the law, and it came out is that Trump's argument is basically further away from the law, and the other argument that inadmissibility, basically you cannot submit that evidence in the court of law because this is just the existing law. It's called 401, 404B, I believe. Um, that's the beautiful thing about the legal battle is that you have more civilized, you have a case laws, you have a previous laws, and then you can just argue whatever you want. You'd have to channel your argument uh, together, align your argument with the existing laws. And the existing law, basically federal law 401, 401, 404B, it's generally in favor of this because the law specifically says that if something happened earlier and then even though something happened earlier that may be uh, not in favor of the defendant, okay, then you can still uh, not automatically submit that to the case of law to be part of your argument because something called characteristics evidence, something about the propensity of act evidence, it's basically not admissible. I really like it because that law is actually, sometimes you can say law is just common sense. I think the important common sense, important intuition behind this is that human beings are complicated. You know, excuse me. In a different scenario, they may act differently. So the law basically honor that. So we can just say, for example, the Bill Gates. We all know that Bill Gates is contacted Epstein, and then so the different scenarios, different person, different context, people may act differently, even though it's against their common reputation. But it's still true. May come up with a surprise, but the law says that we cannot generally paint that person saying, well, this guy's a bad guy, and then because of the bad guy in the past, this time there will be the bad guy this time. The law basically specifically says, no, you can't make that argument. But here, let's talk about the Trump's statement about Pretti. Uh, as Trump mentioned, the three things. Number one, Pretti was screaming at the federal agent. Number two, Patty was spitting at the federal agent. Number three, he kicked the tail light, and actually so bad the tail light actually fell off. In Trump's word, is that government expensive SUV that the tail light is off. So, but here I checked the law on this. I found out screaming at federal agent, it's generally protected speech. Okay, so that's not an issue. However, speeding. What about speeding? Speeding is generally considered assault. It's prohibited. It's a criminal, especially if you assault a federal agent, a general, law enforcement agent. So, and also obviously kicking the SUV, make the tail light off, falling off. That's definitely a crime. However, I want to add one detail. Detail is interesting because you see what happened, how the law enforcement officer reacted to Pretty's previous behavior. Obviously, offense, a federal offense, could be admitted to be like a federal crime. They came out, they took him down, and then shoved him down, and then that's reasonable. You can make it at the you can interpret that as a reasonable forces, right? And then by taking him down, that's okay. However, two things are kind of strange. Number one, they never actually charged it. They never actually arrested. That's why the other day I was watching a video. Bovino was talking about the professional, legal, and then moral, right? And we can, he specifically says that if somebody touch you, make sure you're arrested, which is okay. That's why I'd rather to see more arrest happening in the Twin City than, shooting. That's actually excessive use of force, right? And then the other thing is that they never actually arrest him, you know they just so making you wonder the purpose of the federal agent, their purpose is really just to teach you a lesson, okay, instead of preventing the potential criminal, the suspect, to take further actions against the law, against the society. So that's one thing. Another thing even worse is that they actually sprayed the gas, or whatever, the tear gas or something, to the to the people who are looking at this thing. That's actually uh, that's another excessive use of force. So making this otherwise a stronger case much weaker. Okay, because you're saying that the federal, in fact, the DHS already admitted that there's no record of saying. Obviously, DHS is worried about, people say, hey, you take that record of 11 days ago and use that as a revenge, right? So DHS was quick to this time to defend itself, saying that we have no record. So that means, uh, making not making an arrest, um, and a spray on the bystanders, and that's excessive use. It doesn't make the case much weaker. So let me stop here.